Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's Sunday Night Live if you are watching live. If not, we've got a big show for you. Jose Mourinho ready to quit Manchester United? Question mark. Bang. I've been out today at a family christening, had a good day. I hadn't seen these quotes until about an hour ago, and this isn't plucked out. I mean, I suppose like like me, maybe you hadn't read them today. But Mourinho, these are from his mouth. Some very telling comments that I'll give you first before we react to it. So, because this is what he said. What I can say is that I am still a manager with questions, with ambitions, with a desire to do new things. And I do not think, in fact, I am sure that I will not finish my career at Manchester United. He then said that the other day, my son, who lives in London, decided to go to Paris and not Manchester to watch a match. Why Paris? Because at the moment, Paris has something special. There is magic, youthfulness and quality. It is fantastic. If you don't think that's Mourinho putting a big flag up to PSG to come and get me, you're very, very naive. Very, very naive. Mourinho never says anything without something behind it. Why is he talking about PSG like that? I mean, who's the manager of PSG at the moment? I forget. I really have forgot. It's not Laurent Blanc still, is it? I don't know. Maybe they want to, they've signed some good players now. Maybe they want the best manager and they will chuck ridiculous amounts of money at him. And as Sumak said in the live comments there, it'd be very naive of Manchester United fans to think that Mourinho is in love with this club and is tied to it. And he was also asked about his new contract, to which he said there is nothing going on. So all this rumour about Mourinho getting a new contract, that he has said there is nothing going on. All very, 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 very concerning comments about Jose Mourinho. At a time where we, as Manchester United fans, let me just go back to something else as well. Mourinho never says anything without it meaning something. He's not a stupid man. And I think in the disappointment of the result yesterday with Liverpool, and I think you may have missed this. And if some of you haven't, well done. I was thinking about it just before I went live there. Moaning this morning, as I did, and many of you did overnight, about Mourinho's comment, I don't have people... My bench was non-existent. I don't have people to deal with the power of Henderson and Chan, which I thought was just really, really embarrassing. Actually, you know what Mourinho's saying there is, we might be frustrated and angry with it. What he's saying is he hasn't been given the players he wants. That's what it is. That's what that message is about. It's not about, oh, I've failed in 3 transfer windows. I haven't even got players who can deal with Henderson and Chan. What he actually is saying is, I haven't got players who can deal with Henderson and Chan because I've not been backed in the areas I wanted to. We spoke about it in the summer. The midfield, 2 injuries, you're in big trouble. That's where we should have brought people in. All through the summer, I want more than 3 signings. If I get 3, I'll be content. We know he was feeding it out. He wanted more signings this summer because, even if it's just Perisic, I think there was a couple more. He didn't get the backing. He didn't get the backing. Look, he did not get the backing in the summer. We can all pretend he did, and we can all go, what a great start to the season it was until yesterday, and we don't need it. But you look at Pep Guardiola at Manchester City, 100% backing. Big backing, and look at what they're doing at the moment. Now, it won't always be like that. It's not going to be like that. I firmly believe that City will drop points and United are unbeaten and we are still very much in a title race. But Mourinho is petulant. We all have that in him, and I think he's frustrated. I think he's becoming frustrated. There are rumours in the press today, I don't know whether they're true or not, that Mourinho is getting frustrated with Ed Woodward. 1, about the contract, and 2, about the sort of the way Mourinho wants things to go at Manchester United. Now, if they are true, over the last few months, we often get asked on the United Stand, or we talk about it collectively, how long's Mourinho going to stay? And people go, oh, he'll finish his career here. It's a long-term plan for Mourinho. I'm sure Chelsea was a long-term plan. Maybe Real Madrid was a long-term plan. When does it ever materialise into a long-term plan with Mourinho? It doesn't. It's 2-3 years and he's gone. Why would it be any different at Manchester United? As much as I want it to, and as much as many of you do, what did I say a few weeks ago? That somebody asked, how long will Mourinho be at Manchester United? And I said, he could be here 5 years, but realistically, he always falls out with the owners. And when that starts to happen, that's the beginning of the end of Mourinho. And let's not forget, our owners have been quite ruthless. We sacked Van Gaal straight after him winning the FA Cup. Correct decision, but it shows how ruthless they are. We let Giggs go, even though Giggs wanted the manager's job and says he was promised it, got rid of him. Again, right decision. Moyes wasn't given very long before he was sacked. Again, right decision. This board don't mess around. And if Mourinho starts on Manchester United, the brand or starts, you know, saying this, that and the other, he won't last long at United either. And also, Mourinho's point of view, if he doesn't feel that things are going his way and he can't compete with Pep Guardiola because Pep Guardiola is getting everything he needs and Mourinho isn't because it's run like a business at United and there isn't a blank checkbook, then Mourinho will never ever put himself in a position where his reputation is tarnished. He hated what happened at Chelsea. He lost the players, he lost the board, he lost a lot of respect. As a champion, he was sacked. At Manchester United and other clubs, he won't let that happen, and well, he'll try not to make it happen again. And I do think that he has this record of winning the title in the first 2 years, and at the moment he's under a little bit of pressure. He's under a little bit of pressure, isn't he? Look, I know people don't want to read that Mourinho could quit Manchester United, but I don't want to. That was not my intention of the show tonight. It's something that we've seen from his comments today, and they are worrying because why are they coming out? Why are they coming out so soon in his, you know, relatively young career at Manchester United? And I think it's frustration, but have no qualms, have no illusionment. Sorry, them comments about Paris and it's fantastic and its youthfulness and it's special. They are nothing to do with, oh, I like Paris. It's everything to do with PSG. I know you've got a lot of money. I'll take the job. That is what that is totally about. And that is that loyalty to Manchester United. Should he be doing that as Manchester United manager? If Anthony Martial did that, or Paul Pogba said it about Barcelona, we'd be absolutely furious. And I'm a big fan of Mourinho. I'm not going to turn against him. I don't want him to be sacked. I don't want him to go. I think he's the man to get success back. But that is disappointing from him because that is, for me, really saying PSG come and get me, or PSG, you know, don't think I'm tied to Manchester. What he's basically doing is he's sending a message to Manchester United saying, look, don't think I'm here just because I love it. I'll go if I don't get what I want. And also he's saying to PSG, don't think you can't prize me out of Manchester if you give me the right package, and which is what I want. And I think I think he wants to stay at United. I think he wants to be successful at United. Obviously loves the fans and the club, but he ain't going to stay if he's not given the tools to do what he wants to do. And I think that is the problem at the moment. When he's coming out with comments like, I can't deal with Henderson and Emre Can, you know it's not the vision that he wants. And maybe there may be trouble ahead. But I don't think in the immediate future. But it's a watching brief. Keep your eye on it because who knows what's going to come. Let's have a look at some of your comments about it. Look, this isn't speculation. He's come out with these comments. Of course, they can be read any way they want. In relation to him saying he's not going to finish his career at Manchester United, what I would say about that is I never expected that anyway. I think Portugal national coach, or somebody said England. I don't think he's going to manage England, but you never know. But I think what that's all about is that PSG. You know what annoys me about that is anybody who watches the United stand, I can't stand PSG. I can't stand what they've done this summer with the Neymar and Mbappe deals. And if Mourinho went to PSG, I think as much as I like Mourinho, I would be really disappointed. But money talks. Of course, money talks, doesn't it? And Mourinho never says anything without effect. I think the whole thing he said today is about, I've not been backed. I haven't been offered a new contract. I've not got the players that I wanted, and if they think I'm just going to stay here because it's Manchester United, you know what? I love Paris, and leave it out there. To be honest, he's sticking up for himself, Mourinho, and that's what Mourinho does. So, yeah, very interesting, very interesting. Echo says I prefer Pochettino anyway. Jose ain't going anywhere, says Alex Ferguson. PSG would be a dream job because it's a completely blank checkbook, says George Kyle. And look, Tube says let's sack Jose and become what we all slated Chelsea for. Knee-jerk reactions, United fan logic. We're not sacking him. I don't know what the grounds to sack Mourinho are. I don't think anybody's saying that, to be fair. No, I don't think anybody would want Mourinho sacked. We're unbeaten, for God's sake. We had a bad performance yesterday, and Mourinho has to take responsibility for that. Of course, I think he got a few things wrong, but you can't, I don't think anyone's saying he needs to go because of that one game. Tonight's meant to be talking about some of the things we need to improve on, not Mourinho going. I think Mourinho is basically just saying, look, if I don't get the backing from this board or this club, then I'm not definitely going to stay here. I've got a contract, but, PSG might pay me out of that contract. The thing about PSG now, and George Kyle's spot on there, what PSG can do to anybody, whether it's a player or a club or a manager, is just go to them and say, look, they might have a 4-year contract, but here's a couple $100 million. We'll pay off his contract. He wants to come to us. And PSG can do that. I'd be very disappointed if Mourinho did that. But you think Mourinho would care? I think he'd just go to Paris and forget all about us if he did it. Hopefully he won't do it. Mourinho is tired of the British press, says Paul Joseph. Well, he could be, yeah. Scholes starting his manager career soon, hopefully. One day he'll come to United, says Pogboom. I think the days of managerial dynasties are over, to be fair, says A Bloke. He wants a new contract, so he gets a nice payoff when he has his third season meltdown, says Weathers. Well, the talk about a Mourinho contract is apparently not true, and that's from Mourinho. Well, if he leaves, then we are all hopeless. That will be outrageous, says Radu. And he will break the transfer record every transfer window at PSG, says Nats. I tell you what, Mourinho at PSG would make PSG even more annoying because he would be very successful and he would just buy. And maybe that's what he wants to go and do. I don't know. But let's talk a little bit. We can come back to that. Let's talk a little bit about the game itself yesterday and what a lot of you have asked us to talk about tonight. So let's start off with the game and the result itself. So a few people have said, if we're scared of Liverpool, what tactics is Mourinho going to use against teams like Chelsea and City? Yeah, fair enough. And then other people have said on a positive, this is how you win the title. You beat everybody else, and against the big clubs or your rivals, you just make sure you don't get beat. Which again, I think is true. It is true, but I'm not convinced. Like I said this morning, I'm not convinced that tactic of beating everybody else and just getting draws against City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs is going to give us enough points to win the title, because I don't think Manchester City will have problems beating Arsenal, already beaten Liverpool, they've beaten Chelsea. I think they'll beat everybody else. So draws against the top six and beat everybody else, I don't think is going to give us enough points. I think City will win a lot of games because of the football they play. City don't look like they're going to draw many games. They will lose games. They're not going to win every single game. They will lose games, but they don't look like they're going to draw games. They look like they're going to score a lot of goals. What we need, just very quickly on City, what we need to happen with City very soon, and Mark Hughes should just get sacked at Stoke, because turning up against United twice a season and getting points off us should not be enough for a Stoke manager. He's a joke. And yesterday, his tactics were a joke. To get beat 7-2, regardless of it, everybody being at Pep Guardiola's bottom again, 7-2 in any Premier League game, you should be seriously looking at the exit door. Tactically, teams need to just go to City or play City and just play for a draw. Play for the draw. Put one player up front who's strong and fast, leave him up front, hit the long ball to him, and everybody else just get behind the ball, keep it really tight, stay on the edge of your box, but two banks of players, one up front on their own, pacey fullbacks, pacey sort of wide players who can get forward and support them on the break, but literally just let them have the ball in front of you and sit back, and they won't, okay, they might beat you. They won't always beat you. You might get a point one day, and also you might nick a goal on the other end. But playing these teams who are playing City at the moment are just so naive the way they're playing, and they're giving City so much space and they're getting torn apart. We need teams to start figuring out City, because I think City have got one way of playing. Pep Guardiola always had one way of playing at Barcelona and Bayern Munich, and we need teams other than ourselves, because I'm sure Mourinho figured it out. United needs to wake up, says Brian Price. City are playing well and extremely exciting ball. They are getting a lot of attention from the youth stars. We need to worry that those players no longer prefer United. Well, we've had that for 4 years with United. I wouldn't worry about that sort of thing. Jonathan Russell says we should park the bus against City. We will park the bus against City. I'm convinced about that. I think yesterday disappointed a lot of us because it's a very poor Liverpool team. And I stand by that. I said it all through the international break. It's a poor Liverpool team. When you look at the combined 11s before yesterday, the only two players who could have a decent shout of getting into our team would be Mane and Coutinho. You might have to query that now after yesterday's performance, but up until yesterday, and I still believe that. It's a poor Liverpool team, and I think that we should have gone there and had a go at them, and I think we would have beaten them. We just didn't, and we still got a draw, even though it was lucky. But if we're going to go to a game like Liverpool, and like Gary Neville said, you've got to do more. You can't just go to big clubs away from home and play like that. You can't. You've got to do more. If you want to be a title winner, you've got to do more. And we should have done more yesterday. We've got better players than that. We've got better approach to game like that. And we've already approached games better than that this season. But to do that, I just think it was naive. I do. I just think he showed Liverpool way too much respect. And the biggest embarrassment is when you play Liverpool and you let them have a clean sheet, that shows that whatever your game plan is, it was wrong, because you should always score. I said at least 2 goals against Liverpool, and we got none. So it is frustrating. It's very early in the season, and I don't think there's any need for panic stations. I think the frustration at the result is totally fair from United fans. Of course you should have that, but let's just keep a watching brief on it and see what happens. But I would say this, that if we have another season of him going away from home against the big teams and playing like he did yesterday, then look, you know, people can call it arrogance or whatever, but there is a United way. There is a United way, and there is a United, amongst United fans, there is a desire for us to play a certain way. And look, United fans are never going to like a team that has no intention of winning a game, no approach to winning a game, and your striker has the least touches on the pitch. That is going to frustrate a lot of United players. Talking of which, let me just say that in relation to that striker who was our man Romelu Lukaku, that is going to be our next topic, which will be very, very interesting, of course, because Flex spoke about it outside with the fan cams yesterday, which was brilliant as ever, and he got a little bit of feedback about it. So we're going to talk about that next, but let's have a look at what we want to see. Okay, so thanks to Quiff, who are with us on this video. What is Quiff? Well, if you do fancy a bet, what you can do with Quiff is you can quiff your bet, effectively. I don't know what I've done there. Let's go back, there we go, and back. So if you are somebody who fancies a bet, remember you've got to be over 18 years of age and you've got to gamble responsibly and all that jazz. But if you are somebody who fancies a little bet, whether it's on the Champions League this week, United away in Benfica, or you fancy one on the Milan derby, which is on at the moment, or Real Madrid against Spurs on Tuesday night, isn't it? The way Quiff works is you can sign up, as I said, play the demo so I can just let you know how it works. And any bet that you put on, so let's put a bet on here. Swipe left to close it, swipe left again. It will quiff your bet. So let's go with that. And as you can see, the bet's on, and then 2.05, but it will whack it up to 9.54. Not always 9.54, but every bet you put on through the Quiff app, and it's doing fantastically well at the moment, taking the betting world by storm. You'll see it on adverts for the BT on Champions League this week, I'm sure. Any bet that you put on, so whether it's a 2-to-1 bet or anything, it will quiff it. That's what the Quiff app is all around, which is basically it'll increase your odds. Sometimes massively, sometimes not so massively, sometimes averagely, but it's randomly done. So a fantastic app. If you are into your betting, download the app, free in the bottom in the video description, and it will give you a sign-up offer which is exclusive through the United Stand as well. So thanks to Quiff for that. Do give it a download, but remember, do gamble responsibly, and I know some of you do, and if you do, it's a fantastic new app, so give it a shot. Which reminds me, we did the Fan League, didn't we? For anybody who signed up for the Fan League, which is just basically picking out results and Super Brew, we'll be updating that later on in the week. Okay. Let's come back to Lukaku then. Romelu Lukaku. Right. Lukaku had a poor game, says David. Poor service, but his control was shocking. He needs to work really hard on it. Yeah, Lukaku got a lot of stick yesterday. And again, Gary Neville gave him a bit of stick when we signed him, and he gave him a bit of stick yesterday. Look, I'm going to say this about Lukaku, and I want you to Andrew Ellis says Lukaku is a terrible footballer. Look, there's a couple of things I can stick up for Lukaku about. One is he had the least amount of touches on the pitch. So whether his first touch is bad or not, and I agree, I said it when we signed him, his first touch isn't good. And he is improving on it, and he is young enough, and he will improve on it because United need him to improve on it. He's got it. The ball has got to stick. He's got to work on it. Yeah, I accept that. But when you look at the game yesterday, and he's got the least touches on the pitch, that's nothing to do with his first touch. That's to do with people supplying him. So him having the least amount of touches on the pitch is not Lukaku's fault. That's to do with everybody else around him, namely people like Mkhitaryan, Matic and Herrera weren't good at ball distribution either. So we didn't get the ball up to him enough anyway. So he was always playing off scraps, and that's not his fault. So that's one thing in his favour. It wasn't a very good game for him. Two, he was totally isolated. There was that point in the game where he got the ball, he was ringing up the centre-backs. I think Chan just came back at him and Henderson, and they got the ball very quickly. And that happened with Lukaku a lot yesterday. Every time he got the ball, he had 2 or 3 players around him, and he had zero support from anybody around him, specifically Mkhitaryan. That happened all around the pitch, though. Every time one of our players got the ball, Liverpool hunted in packs, and our players were nowhere near him. So that was a problem for Lukaku yesterday that was not his fault, again. What I will say is, look, when we signed Lukaku, everybody probably knows this. He's not a one-chance striker. He's not clinical like that. He's not like, give him one chance and he'll punish you. That's not Lukaku, just like it's not Harry Kane, just like it's not a lot of strikers in the past. He's a very good striker, but as we saw in that last few minutes against Stoke, we saw it against Real Madrid in a game, didn't we, in the Super Cup. He will miss sitters, Lukaku. And whether that was a sitter against Liverpool or not yesterday, it was the best chance of the game. But we didn't buy Lukaku for that. Lukaku isn't a clinical striker in the sense that one chance, one goal. Lukaku's the sort of striker where if you give him 3 chances, he might score 2. He's probably not going to score a hat-trick. And that's, again, I don't think you can criticise him for that, because that's not Lukaku. If you followed Lukaku or you know anything about Lukaku, he's not clinical like that. He's not clinical's the word, really. He's not a one chance, one goal striker. That's not what we've bought. What we've bought is somebody who is very good at scoring goals, as he's proven. Somebody who's very powerful, very quick, very hard working, and causes a lot of problems and creates a lot of space for players behind him. Brilliant. I like Lukaku for what he does. But of course he's going to get a lot of stick yesterday because we were so poor going forward. We had one really good chance, it fell to him and he missed. If you want clinical, that chance falls to Anthony Martial, 1-0, maybe we won the game. Anthony Martial is clinical. Lukaku isn't, but I'd rather have Lukaku up front than Martial, because Lukaku can go up front on his own. He's a beast of a player and he'll handle people. And yeah, so I don't agree with the Lukaku criticism, and there was a lot of it yesterday. I don't really think he did anything wrong. I don't expect him to score 1 goal, 1 chance. Maybe some people do, but that's not what he is. He kept battling, he was up on his own, he got 0 support, and he certainly got 0 hardly any of the ball. And as a striker, you need that. You need to have service. Lukaku needs service, and yesterday he didn't get service, and I've said more than enough times about Mkhitaryan. I don't need to go on about it again, but I don't think Lukaku deserves a lot of criticism. Herrera is the next one I want to talk about. Here we go. Rogvi says, would you swap Mkhitaryan for Griezmann if that was the only chance Griezmann would join United? Yes. Oh God, you know, look, United are probably 1 player away from being a fantastic side. We're a very good side, but I think we're 1 player away from being, you know, able to sort of challenge for the Champions League, and that is a top quality number 10. And we wanted him in the summer. We wanted Griezmann in the summer. He was going to come. His agent admitted it. He didn't come because of the ban. Deal with it. Mourinho is determined to back Mkhitaryan, and Mourinho should be applauded for that. He's decided Mkhitaryan's the number 10, and he's consistently playing him. For me, the warning signs have been there with Mkhitaryan for a number of weeks. A lot of you've mentioned it. A lot of us have been saying, yeah, you know, Mkhitaryan might be great for your fantasy Premier League team because he's getting a lot of assists and goals, but actually he's not been playing that well. Against Crystal Palace, he was shocking. He got subbed off after about an hour. And I was surprised when he started yesterday, because I thought, well, if you can't do it against Crystal Palace with all that space and a bottom of the table team, how do we trust you in a game where it's going to be very physical, very fast against our biggest rivals away from home? And Mourinho trusted him. And obviously there's something in Mourinho that made him decide to do that. Instead of picking Mr. Consistent Matter, who's actually got a good record at Anfield, he went for Mkhitaryan. And if you'd watched the watch-along yesterday, there was one point where I went absolutely mad in the first half, which was Salah on a run in his own half, over-moved the ball. Mkhitaryan had an opportunity to go in a 50-50 challenge and win it, and he bottled it. And then Salah went on a 30-yard run, and I think somebody tackled him or anything like that. And I thought, right, you know, if that is not a Manchester United player for a start. Manchester United players cannot be allowed to shirk a challenge like that, and certainly not against Liverpool. And I think that's the problem with Mkhitaryan. There's a few people on Twitter today saying it, and he lacks the physicality for the Premier League. And at the moment, he's going down the route of a Kagawa, a very, very good player, Kagawa, and Mkhitaryan, and I was very excited about both of them, but both struggled and are struggling in the case of Mkhitaryan with the physicality of the Premier League, and I think Mkhitaryan is going to he's got this season to turn it round, otherwise I think he'll be gone in the summer, and it really is about physicality. Yeah, he needs to get his head up a bit more. But he's got the raw talent. He is a talented player. But the Premier League's not for everybody. Look at Veron. You know, one of the best midfielders in the world. He just couldn't handle the Premier League. And Mkhitaryan could be going down that route. At the moment, I'd drop him against Huddersfield. But I don't think Mourinho will. I think, as we've seen with Mourinho, when he makes his mind up about something, he gets quite stubborn about it. And I think we will see more and more of Mkhitaryan. Which, for me, isn't necessarily a bad thing. He was shocking yesterday. He should have been subbed at half-time. But I like Mkhitaryan. He's a good player, and I hope he turns it around. But he's got to, because I think Mourinho is going to stick with him. But the next player I want to talk about is Herrera. Please. I mean, Carmichael says Mkhitaryan's another Kagawa. Griezmann's too lightweight, says Andrew Ellis. You know what? That is a very good point from Andrew. I like Griezmann. Everyone I know wanted him in the summer. He fits United like a glove, number 7, everything like that. But again, you know, it would be remiss of me to say I was excited when we got Mkhitaryan. I was excited when we got Kagawa. I'd be very excited when we get Griezmann. I'm not going to say that Griezmann's guaranteed success. I think he would be a success. But I have seen people like Mkhitaryan and Kagawa fail because of the physicality in the Premier League. And Griezmann could do the same. So Griezmann would be my choice. But again, he might not be suited to the Premier League. So I'm not, you know, I want him. But you know, it's a good point. Thomas Charlton's on about those Jose Mourinho comments. We'll come back to them for those who've joined us a little bit late. But Mourinho, yeah, they are worrying comments. He's looking for the PSG job. I think he's put out a big hint that he would leave United if it carries on like this. And I think the troubling thing, just to go back to it. So Mourinho has basically said that his son didn't come to watch Manchester United. He went to watch Paris Saint-Germain because they're exciting, their youthfulness, and they're fantastic. Why is a Manchester United manager saying that? It's risky because he's got a really good reputation with United fans at the moment. But United fans aren't stupid. And when you start talking about another club like that, you run the risk of alienating yourself and upsetting your support. We don't want to be mugged off. All you've got to do with United fans is just, even if you're lying, because we don't know whether they're lying, is just say Manchester United are the best club in the world with the best fans, and we'll love you. That's what we'll do. When you start saying Paris is fantastic and this, that and the other, United fans, one, will react and get really concerned because we want Mourinho to stay. And then as time goes on, we'll start to think, whoa. You might be a bit frustrated with United and Ned Woodward and everything like that, but what have we done to you as fans? We've backed you, we want you, the best man for the job. You never say anything without meaning something by it. What you're saying is that you're basically saying to United, don't get too cosy with this situation, because if you don't back me and bring the players I want, I'll go. And what you're also saying to PSG is, I'm there if you want to come and get me. And if you're PSG, tonight or tomorrow morning when you're back at work, you'll be there going, what do you think about those Mourinho comments? Sounds to us like, if we chuck enough money at him, he'll come to us. Do we want Mourinho as our manager? Well, they might not want him, but actually, they've got Neymar because he's the biggest star in the world. They've got Mbappe because he's the biggest young star in the world. Why not? There's talk of them wanting De Gea because he's the best goalkeeper in the world. Why not go and get the best manager in the world? I am annoyed with Mourinho for doing it, but Mourinho will always look after himself. And I think Mourinho is getting frustrated with something with United in relation to the board and the owners. He never says anything without an ulterior motive. But I am annoyed with him because United fans have invested in him. We are backing him. Yesterday was appalling. We were disappointed, but nobody's going, get Mourinho out. What we're saying is, come on, Jose, let the horses run free. That's what we want you to do. And you're good enough to do it. We're not turning against him. We want him as our manager. And it does feel a little bit disappointing because we all know what he's doing about those Paris Saint-Germain comments. He's basically saying, he's not saying come and get me. He's warning United, give me a new contract or I might go. And he's also saying to Paris Saint-Germain, I won't fancy it, I won't mind it if you give me enough money. Omar Suarez says, I told you a year ago Dortmund players flop and go back. Still glad Fellaini injured, if only it was longer. I love Jose, but sometimes chooses bad excuses. I don't know, I've heard that Fellaini's back in 2 weeks. which will be the Spurs game. And I think I'm not talking about Fellaini tonight, but what I would say is that Mourinho obviously feels that Fellaini would have been perfect for the game yesterday, and Fellaini will be back in our team as soon as he's fit, until Pogba comes back. I mean, what we want to see is Pogba and Matic as much as possible. You know, I don't think Fellaini starts when they're fit, but I don't think Fellaini would have been that good yesterday, because Liverpool are full of smaller, quicker players who move the ball around. That is Fellaini's weakness, because he's tall and he's not particularly mobile. Which brings me on to Herrera. Get commenting about Herrera. I really do want to see what you've all got to say about this, because I saw something in Herrera yesterday that obviously a lot of people didn't see. We've got over 1,700 people watching, which is fantastic, which obviously means a lot of people want to talk about United tonight, which obviously we want you to. Please do drop a like on the video. It'd be nice to get up to 1,000 likes while we're live. Sometimes we do it, but it'd be great to get that. But also, just having a look, we're on 927,000 subscribers. So we are 73 away from 142,000. If you are new, click that subscribe button, bottom right hand corner. You've got a fantastic community here. We're live again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with the Skype show, where you can Skype in and have your say about everything. I bet a lot of people will be talking about Mourinho tomorrow night, so don't miss it. And we've also got Red Rumours for you at 1 o'clock tomorrow going up. So there's always lots of content going up on the United Stand. And if you are new, it's a fantastic community. Subscribe, get involved. That'd be brilliant. And please do drop a like on the video as well. Gungshi says, I like some things about Jose, dislike other things, petulance and stubbornness. I think that's what makes him great. Jamali says we need someone like De Bruyne. De Bruyne is doing very well at the moment, and it's ironic that that was a player that Jose got rid of. But yeah, he stuck De Bruyne where Mkhitaryan is, and we'd be doing as well as City, I think. But then again, we wouldn't, because City had gone and try and beat Liverpool yesterday. We tried not to get beat by Liverpool, which is a mindset, the Mourinho mindset. We thought he was changing it. And a lot of United fans are disappointed. We are disappointed because we all know we should have beaten them. Omar Suarez has made another contribution. Thank you for that, Omar. He says, Herrera was dreadful, like it was his first game. The showstopper said, Herrera was our best player yesterday after De Gea. Keep them coming. I've got an opinion on Herrera, but I genuinely have held back because I want to get some of your comments. So, Herrera is a weird one. He and Matic does not work well together, in my opinion, says Daziz Gaming. I thought away to Moscow they were fantastic, by the way. Herrera was very poor but had a winning mentality, says Mike Rollins. Herrera defensively was great. Offensively he wasn't, but then no one was. There were no options for him to pass to, and no one made runs. Even Matic struggled to pass. Herrera closed so many gaps. VKD, and I think that's a fantastic comment. I really do. We'll come back to that, but I think it's a really good comment. Matic's distribution yesterday was terrible. It got to the point where Matic actually was trying to dribble, which he can, and was going down blind alleys and losing the ball. There was no outlet yesterday. Now, whether that's because Lukaku wasn't moving, I think that's unfair. Look, I hope he turns it round. I hope Mkhitaryan again. We will beat Huddersfield next week, by the way. We will beat them. I hope Mkhitaryan has an absolute stormer. I hope he has a right rollicking and he has a stormer next week. But he went missing yesterday. Matic and Herrera were absolutely swamped in a defensive way. They were dealing with three players because Mkhitaryan wasn't helping them out. And then when they got the ball, the rare occasions, they couldn't find the number 10 because he was awful. So, you know, Matic was as bad in his distribution as Herrera was yesterday. And I don't think many people will have a go at Matic. So I agree with that. Merlin says Herrera looked shaky. M19858J says Herrera good in the pressing game but not so great on the ball. And Fellaini's better than Herrera, says we are legend. Herrera is average, says Four Thoughts. And Kevor Kosh says Herrera was missing in action. HK and Music says Herrera was poor. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because there are totally different opinions on it, which I'm glad about, because I was worrying whether my opinion on it was like I was in the minority, but it appears it's a 50-50. Andrew K says Herrera and lucky not to have given a penalty away with the Coutinho challenge. He is lucky with that dodgy referee. Vishnu, Herrera and Matic worked well in Moscow, but against Liverpool their distribution was poor and everybody's was. And Mike Rollins says Matic was poor yesterday. Christopher Green, Herrera not good enough for us, but Messi wants him at Barcelona. Well, that's an argument in itself around Herrera. There is clearly an issue with Herrera. How you can go from being the player he was last year to the player he was this year. And more importantly, how you can go from being one of the first players on an 11 under Mourinho to being on the bench under Mourinho. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Whatever you think about Herrera, whatever I think about Herrera, he was one of Mourinho's most trusted players last year. Alright, you sign Matic and you go Matic and Pogba and Herrera's on the bench. But when Pogba gets injured and you're playing Fellaini ahead of Herrera, there's something gone on between Mourinho and Herrera, inevitably. And maybe Herrera will go in the summer. And you know what? I like Ander Herrera, but you know what I would say to Ander Herrera? Do one. And I want him to stay. But if you're not signing a new contract at Manchester United, it's a real big shame because you bought into what we're all about. You really seem to care. You really put a lot of effort in. But if Barcelona is your dream move over United, do one. And I'm not being horrible to him. I want players who want to play for Manchester United. And maybe that's what Mourinho has sort of done. And that's why he's picking Fellaini. But we're not Spurs. We're not Everton. We need quality. And but what I would say is Herrera was a better option than Fellaini yesterday. I think if Fellaini had played, we would have struggled more because the mobility of Herrera was fantastic. I thought his pressing, his closing down of space was really tenacious, really, really quick. And I think it halted a lot of attacks for Liverpool because of his speed around the midfield, which Matic and Fellaini don't have. So Herrera, for me, yesterday, looking at it in a footballing tactical sense and the spaces on the game and how we closed them down, Herrera was doing a hell of a lot off the ball. And he was getting no support from Mkhitaryan, who should have been doing that because he's quite nippy as well. So I thought Herrera had a very, very good game yesterday because his distribution was terrible. I agree with that. But so was Matic, so was everybody else. But his tenacity, his work effort and his breaking down of the play and space was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And maybe you didn't see that. I don't know. I don't know how you watch a football game. Maybe you judge football on what's on the ball and how people distribute the ball. But I watch a game and I'm looking at spaces and everything like that and who's closing it down. And Herrera yesterday was very, very good at that. Very good. But if you miss that, then, you know, or you don't agree with that, that's up to you. But I thought Herrera yesterday was one of our most important players outfield with Valencia, who was very good as well. And I think I thought Herrera played well. But that's my opinion on it. Jonathan Russell says, I don't think Mourinho has lost the fans or his team. It comes from the top. Glazers need to sort it out and give him what he needs, or I think he would leave. Then we will be Real United. Yeah, well, we spoke about this in the summer. Going back to what Mourinho said, I think he's put a big warning flag out that, you know, he's not settled at United and they shouldn't take him for granted. That's basically what his comments are all about PSG, about saying he's not going to finish his career here, about saying there is no new contract for him to sign. He's basically saying, I'm not here forever, and if they treat me badly, I'll go. But I said it in the summer, and I got a little bit of stick about it. People were like, well, the club have backed him. They've given him 160 million, and they bought 3 players in. But he hasn't got the players he wanted this summer. He clearly wanted Perisic, and I think he wanted another midfielder as well, and he didn't get it. And how long did it take them to get Matic in? You know, we went on US tour, and that only just got done, didn't it? Lukaku was done late. I think we were a bit of a shambles in the transfer window, and I don't think Mourinho got the players he wanted. And, well, I know he didn't, because he was very vocal about that, wasn't he? He said it was a tough market and, you know, he didn't get the players that he wanted. He's also had to watch the other bloke from Manchester get everything he wanted, hasn't he? So, yeah, it's a watch this space. I think it's interesting. It's concerning that Mourinho would come out and make those comments, and I don't like the PSG ones, but you know, it's not surprising. Mourinho will always look out for himself. I don't think he wants to leave United. I just think he's giving a warning sign. But the trouble is, this could be the beginning of the end, because Mourinho never stays at a club long because he falls out with the owners, and it sort of feels like this is the start of a fallout. But we'll wait and see. We could win our next 5 games, top of the league, and everything will be happy again. Really good comment there from Pogbeam about Luke Shaw, because the one thing I wanted to talk about yesterday, where I think Mourinho did make another mistake and nobody really picked up on it, although there was an outrage when Darmian started and a lot of you on the watch-along were very angry about it. On what planet? You know, Luke Shaw's fit. He's played some games. He's been training for like 6 weeks. He's played first-team games for United. On what planet does Luke Shaw not start at left-back and you play Darmian? That is a concern in itself. Why can Luke Shaw not be playing against somebody who's quick, naturally on his left side, and he actually can get forward. And we play Matteo Darmian, who, if he goes over the halfway line, he gets a nosebleed. You know, Darmian yesterday was probably the most metaphorical, symbolic symbol of Manchester United's approach to the game yesterday. A defensive, limited attacking player, and he epitomised what United were yesterday. What I also found odd, I didn't like the Ashley Young movement. I didn't like Ashley Young's performance yesterday. There was a lot of effort and a lot of endeavour, but for one of our best players who's been playing as a fullback, to play him as a right winger yesterday, or a right midfielder, or a double right back with Valencia, I thought that was disappointing. I personally would have liked to have seen Ashley. I mean, I wanted us to play the 3-5-2. I think it would have messed Liverpool up massively, and we would have dominated the midfield and the wing, and we would have had enough players at the back. We didn't do that, but I would have played Ashley Young at the left wing back. I think he would have dealt with Salah no problems. I think Darmian's lack of pace and being right-footed at left back was a problem. Obviously, Ashley Young is that as well, but he would have had the pace. And I think it was just, that was Mourinho's mindset. I'm not going to get beat in this game. And ultimately, he didn't get beat because he was lucky. It wasn't because of his defensive tactics. De Gea made a world-class save with his foot, and Emre Can missed a sitter from about the edge of the 6-yard box. Both of those could have gone in. We would not have got back into it, would we? Let's take some of your comments. I think Herrera, Darmian, Lukaku, Jose, move in the middle. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Let's have a look at some of your comments. Active Dan says, I really don't understand the Herrera criticism, Mark. I think it's the fickle nature of football. You know, I'm not Fellaini's biggest fan. I think he's done well this season, but I'll never be a hypocrite. I've never wanted us to sign him. He's been pretty shambolic for a number of years, and he'll never turn it round for me, because at his age, nearly 30, he's not going to turn into a decent footballer. His effort levels help him, but he won't turn into a good footballer, so I won't change my opinion on him. But I think there is a fickle nature of fans, which is that, you know, Herrera was our player of the year last year for many fans. Everybody loves him, and then this season Mourinho decides to drop him for whatever reason. He has apparently has a couple of bad games. He was poor against Stoke. I don't think he was poor yesterday, and I thought he was very good in Moscow. And there's a lot of fans who don't like Herrera now. I don't understand the criticism of him either, because one thing he did do yesterday is he didn't go and hide. I mean, Mkhitaryan seems to be not, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, stop picking on Mickey. You know, the contrast between Herrera and Mkhitaryan yesterday for your effort, because everyone loves effort, because that's why they love Fellaini. Why don't people love Herrera? Because his effort levels yesterday were fantastic, and Mkhitaryan's effort levels were a disgrace to the shirt. But it's one game. It is one game. Mourinho deserves the criticism yesterday for the approach to the game and not getting Mkhitaryan off quick enough. Mkhitaryan deserves criticism because he was shambolic. But it was one game. And we are unbeaten, and any other season I'd be still very confident we're going to win the title. Am I still confident now? It's way too early for me to start saying we're not going to win the title. I still think we've got a very good chance of winning it, but I've always said that this set of games will dictate what we do this season. I mean, look at Arsenal using yesterday. Arsenal had a very good friend. You know, Arsenal lost a few games, didn't they? Then they had a really good run of home fixtures, which they won, and they were keeping clean sheets. They go away for a tough one yesterday because Watford under Silva away from home. I know City killed them, but they are a good side, and Arsenal got beat. Chelsea lost again. I'm mentioning these teams because they're not in a title race. It's Spurs, United and City, and Spurs are going to struggle to win at Wembley, although they did yesterday, and United, it's about how many points we can pick. You know, what United need to do, and what I'm doing, I'm ignoring what City are doing. You know, they can score 10 next week. They're at home against somebody crap again next week. They'll probably score 10 again because the manager who they're playing, I don't know who they're playing, won't do what I said they need to do at the start of the show, which is just try and play for a draw. 2 banks, 1 up front with pace, and play for a draw. Don't go and try and score goals yourself. Just get a draw and frustrate them. And until teams start doing that, City are going to keep doing what they're doing. But I'm ignoring what City are doing in relation to the press, love-in, and the amount of goals they're scoring, because ultimately they still only get 3 points for a win. Goal difference, obviously, you know, what can we do about that? But it's still only 3 points for a win. if by the time we play City in December, we are within 3 points of them, as we are at the moment, I'll be very, 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 very excited. Do I think we'll be within 3 points of City after the Chelsea game going into the next international break? We've got Huddersfield away, Spurs at home, Chelsea away. If we play like we did yesterday, we're not going to be within 3 points of City because Mourinho's going to go to Chelsea and not play for a win. He's going to play for a draw, which will be, if City win, that'll put us at least 4 points behind them. So the measure's going to be at Christmas how many points we are behind City. And if we're within a couple of wins of them, we've got a chance. If we're within 3 points of them, we've got a very good chance. But the next few weeks we'll start to see what's happening. But at the moment, it's looking very, very good for City, I must admit. Leicester play the best way against City, says Gary Wells. Yeah, just a bit of pace up front and lots of people behind. Herrera was all over the place. He's not the player he was last season, says Sabucio. I've been following Luke Shaw, and all I'm saying is he's been abysmal, says SLJR. Fosu Mensah would have been ideal in the midfield 3 yesterday, says Lamia. Good point. Still too many average players in the United team, says Thomas Charlton. Stokes still scored 2 goals. Yeah, their tactics were dreadful, though. Absolutely dreadful. They gave so much space. Mark Hughes is a terrible manager, though. He really is. I just want to have a quick look at next weekend's fixtures. So City are at home to Burnley. I mean, Burnley under Dyche, he might set them up the right way. I don't think they'll get beat 7-2, but City will win that. They will win that. Then City are away to West Brom. Well, Pulis might set them up the right way. Let's be hopeful. Let's be hopeful about that. But City have got a good month, and we've got a very challenging month. But City had a challenging month, didn't they? They had Chelsea away and they won. They had Liverpool at home and they won. So they've had some tough games themselves as well. Shanawaz says Herrera needs some games to come into form. Yeah, well, we're away against Benfica on Wednesday, aren't we? We'll be doing the watch-along for that as well. But yeah, it'd be an interesting game. Fosu Mensah didn't start for Palace yesterday. Yeah, I didn't realise that. I've not had any chance to see. I mean, that makes it a doubly bad weekend, doesn't it? That Fosu Mensah didn't even play for Palace. Let's have a look. Yeah, he's an unused sub on the bench. They used Ward over Fosu Mensah. Van Aanholt, Sacco, Dan, Ward. So Fosu Mensah, it's looking like a waste of time anyway. I mean, he's been managed by Roy Hodgson. It's a bit like Pereira when he had Tony Adams managing me towards the end of last season. Lance says, let's stop focusing on City. Yeah, you're going to drive yourself mad if you judge yourself on other clubs. But Durrani makes a good point. He says City will win it, Tottenham second, United third, and Watford will come fourth. That'd be fantastic if that happened for Watford. I've always said, look, I think United will win the league just because Mourinho always wins it in the first 2 years. When I actually look at the squad, I can understand why people are worried. And also, let's not forget, bar Lukaku and Matic, because Lindelof's not even playing, and losing Rooney, Zlatan, why does a team that finished 6th last year become first? Just because of Matic and Lukaku. It's a massive jump is what I'm trying to say. So, you know, theoretically, we should maybe be very happy with second or third, but that's not how we work at United, and we had a really good start to the season. What we've got to do is beat Huddersfield next week, beat Spurs at home, go to Chelsea, get a win, and then we're back thinking we're title winners. But I don't know, the approach yesterday disappointed a lot of people because that was a poor Liverpool side. Mourinho is a fraud, says the mysterious hobo. George Kyle says Zlatan is coming back. He will be the catalyst for us. You know, as soon as I read that, George, I don't think it was the statement. Maybe it is for you, but it wasn't the statement. I don't know what everyone else's thought was. When I read that, I just instantly sort of felt a bit sick. I don't know why is Zlatan going to make us any better in a game like that yesterday? I mean, at least Lukaku, as bad as people think he played, at least he's pushing them back with his pace and his power. Zlatan in a game like yesterday, I think we would have been worse because he's got no pace. He's got no pace, so they would have just been on the halfway line, not scared of a ball in behind. That's my worry about Zlatan. I think Zlatan in certain games against the lesser teams will be good, but we're already good against. You could say we're better than we were last year. Well, we are better than were last year with Zlatan. You know, we are beating the lesser teams. I don't see what Zlatan does to improve us yesterday. I don't, because it wasn't like that. It's like a lot of people say, oh, Fellaini would have been good yesterday. How would we have used Fellaini's strengths of putting the ball into the box? We didn't do it. We didn't get near their box. So I don't think Zlatan would improve us from yesterday. I think one player would, and his name's Paul Pogba. I think Pogba in the team yesterday would have been a big improvement, but I don't think Zlatan would have helped us yesterday playing like that. And in many ways, I think it would have made us worse because Lukaku was running the channels and pushing their centre-backs back, whereas Zlatan wouldn't do that. They would have been pushing us further up. So we do need Pogba back, but when is he going to come back? I don't know. And Truth Teller says Zlatan would have drifted back in the midfield. Yeah, he would. Rose in January, says Johnny Hennigan. I do feel that Mourinho doesn't like Luke Shaw, so maybe. We do need a left-back though, don't we? I mean, Ashley Young looked 32, like somebody said yesterday. He looked tired and he looked slow. I mean, Lovren beat him to the ball. So yeah, we need a left-back anyway, because Ashley Young can't keep doing it. Omar Suarez has made another contribution. Do I think United can beat City with Jose's tactics? When we play them at Old Trafford, Mourinho will have to try and do something to beat City, because I'll tell you, for one, if we sit back at Old Trafford and let City play us off the park, then he will get booed. He will. That is an unacceptable thing to do. It is not allowed. So he's going to have to find a way of winning or attacking City. At the Etihad, we will sit back and play for a draw like yesterday. We did it last season, and we'll do it this season. He will not go to the Etihad and try and beat them. He will play for a draw. But at Old Trafford, he will have to try and beat them. Thank you to Takolo Tanimoru, who's made a contribution. No one is bigger than Manchester United. Let him go and bring in Allegri, says Camyor 1911. Yes. Interesting. Really interesting. Remember, as I said, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, it is Skype the United Stand. You can Skype in and have your say on everything, and I imagine a lot of you will want to talk about some of the things we've talked about tonight, and maybe tomorrow there will be some developments on the things we've spoken about tonight. But Cam Jones says, if Mourinho was to walk out of Manchester, what would your replacement be? You know what? I was actually at a family christening today and I was asked this very same question. I would go and get Pochettino. I've been very impressed with him at Southampton. He's only enhanced himself at Spurs, and I think he'd be brilliant at United. But whether he wants to come to United because he's a foreign manager and he might want to go to somewhere in Spain or might want PSG himself or Italy. But Pochettino is who I would go for. I like the way he plays football. I like the way he sets his clubs up. And yeah, I like Pochettino. I don't think Mourinho's going to go. I think he's playing a clever game to sort of give the owners and Woodward a kick up the backside. I hope it works. I hope he gets the new contract. But what I don't like in his games of doing that is talking up PSG, a club I really dislike. And for him to be talking about PSG, saying they're fantastic and exciting and this, that and the other, I didn't like that. And you're a United manager, so respect the fans and don't start talking about other clubs and bigging them up. Even if it's your own personal means. I didn't like that from Jose, but I do think he'll stay. I think he's just, like the Henderson and Cham comments, he's just basically saying he's not been backed. And he wasn't backed in the transfer window. Effectively, he wasn't. He didn't get all the players he wanted. And the thing is, for any fan who goes, oh, he did get backed. He did get backed. He got Lukaku, he got Matic, he got Lindelof. He spent a lot of money. He did get backed. I think Mourinho did one of the best things in United's history in the summer. And he got rid of Rooney, who was a massive chain round our neck. He was sinking us. He was declining. He was on a massive contract, on massive money. He was a massive influence in the dressing room. And Mourinho got rid of him. And people forget about that. He moved him out of the club in the most gracious and respectful way. And we turned the corner. And I think that business and the money he saved from that goes unnoticed. It was brilliant by Mourinho. But if anybody in May had said one striker, a midfielder and a centre-back is enough for us to go and win the title next season, every single one of you would have said no. So that is why I say we weren't backed. That's why Mourinho came out and said, I didn't get the players I wanted. 3 will have to do. In fact, it was when we had 2 he came out and said it. He said, I want more, but I'll make do with 3. And I think he is making do. I mean, you think yesterday Rashford was poor when he came on. Martial's not a left wing back. If he'd have had Perisic there yesterday, the player he wanted, we would have been better. If he'd have got another midfielder, which I believe he wanted, we'd have been better. Griezmann would have been there, but that's not Mourinho's fault. That's not Woodward's fault. That just didn't come through. But Mourinho didn't get the players he wanted, and I think that's what it's all about. He's like, you know, I am dealing with a situation that is not as comfortable as Pep's. You know, Pep's got everybody he wanted. I haven't, and I think Mourinho's just getting a bit frustrated with the club because the purse strings at United are very, you know, kept very tight. Okay, Rooney is doing okay at Everton because no one parks the bus against Everton. Oh, I wouldn't want Rooney at United. Roy Rees, I'm only reading this out just in case it happens. He says Mourinho will be gone by Christmas. AF says, when is Pogba coming back? We don't know, do we? I think he'll be back by the end of the month. Maybe the Spurs game. That's a great comment by Mixtape Master. It was something I meant to mention a lot sooner. Remember, Mourinho's living in a hotel. He's not bought a house in Manchester. He's living in a hotel. And a lot of people used to mention that last year when we were getting bad results. And maybe that will come up again. Why is he not bought in a house in Manchester and settled himself? Why are you living at a hotel? It might be a really nice hotel and a nice suite in a hotel, but it's not. His family's not here. He's not ingratiated himself into Manchester, is he? I know he goes out restaurants and everything like that, but his family's not here. They're in London. It's really a job. It's a job, isn't it? And I wonder if he did go to Paris Saint-Germain. I wonder how quick he'd move his family over there and buy into it all. Mourinho doesn't look happy, does he? He doesn't look happy again. I think there's been a few times in his United career where he's looked unhappy, and I think at the moment he looks unhappy again. But hopefully it will turn around. We'll beat Huddersfield next week, beat Spurs, and hopefully he'll just go and let the horses run free at Chelsea. But we've got a terrible record at Chelsea, as we know. So I'll be very surprised if we've got anything other than a draw there. Summer Breeze, Mourinho won't be long term. It's simple as that. He never has been with any club. And Jonathan Russell says, maybe PSG have got to him. Maybe they've tapped him up. Well, I haven't said that, Jonathan, but it's a very, very good comment because that's why I don't like PSG. That's what PSG does. Why would Neymar leave the biggest club in the world, Barcelona, to go and play for PSG? You know, PSG are not going to win the Champions League, really, unless they just buy a load of players. Their league is really not that interesting. And again, Mbappe, why would you go to PSG when you're at a club in France you've won the title with anyway? It's a step backwards. So PSG have got a lot of money and they will just buy the best, and maybe they want the best manager. And to be honest, United will have to sit down and take the L on that because we shouldn't do, but we won't. If they say to Mourinho, there's $2 billion to come and manage us for 3 years, United won't give him $2 billion, and he'll be off. Which, to be fair to United, is right. Of course, we should never be held to ransom. But that's football for you now, folks. That is football. Maybe PSG are sounding him out. Maybe Mourinho is frustrated that he isn't getting backed in the market, and he's frustrated with the constant negative press in this country. I don't know. Maybe it is the beginning of the end, but I don't think it is. I think it's more about I want backing at this club. I want a new contract, and hopefully that's what will happen. Thanks everybody for watching. Really enjoyed it tonight. I've just realised I never said to you that it's Sunday night show and we normally have a couple of guests, but Ross is on holiday, Flex is at a pop concert, and Xander's got family over. So we had slim pickings tonight, but tomorrow at 8 o'clock is the Skype show. So make sure you join us tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I really want to, I know it's 24 hours away, but I really hope some people do phone in and give us their thoughts on Mourinho, because, you know, what are your thoughts on it? And I'm sure there'll be something in the press tomorrow. I can't imagine it will stay quiet. Do drop a like on the video, please. It'd be nice to get to 500 likes before the end of the show. And as I say, subscribe if you're new. We're obviously not going to hit 142,000 tonight, but we're not far off. So please do get involved. Great community. And tomorrow at 1 o'clock, Red Rumours goes up. I know a lot of people like that, and it will go up at 1 o'clock. So make sure you are subscribed and make sure you've got your notifications on, which is the bell at the bottom. Make sure you click it and save, get all notifications, because that will go up at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Join us tomorrow night for the Skype show. Looking forward to that already. And thanks to everyone in the live comments who watched it, because we've interacted with a lot of you tonight and the comments have been brilliant as usual with lots of different opinions. I really liked the Herrera one. Really got a divide, which is great to understand why there is a divide with the Herrera subject at the moment. So see you tomorrow. Have a good start to the week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. There is still some left, and I'll see you tomorrow. That's all right. I definitely do think that there's something in them PSG. I think there's something going on with PSG. Yeah. Just, why would you do that? Yeah, it is worrying.